former Melbourne Demon and Port Adelaide Power player, and now heading back to where he still calls home, Kybybolite. Jack Trengove joins me on the line. Jack, great to have you here, and I'm sure you're very excited about going back and playing for Kyby this year.
Hi Dan, yeah, thanks for having me. I'm stoked. Something that I thought that I probably would never get the opportunity to do is to go back to where it all started. But luckily enough, things have aligned, and we'll start making the trek down to Kyby each week, which will be very enjoyable.
No doubt, Kyby are thrilled to have you back, and it will certainly be a boost for their premiership hopes this year. Haven't won a premiership in the newly formed KNTFL, so how are you feeling about potentially going down there and being the first team to do that?
Look, I think that comes with a bit of pressure. I'll caveat with saying that we finished on the bottom of the ladder last year, so we are coming from a fair way back, and it's as you know, it's an incredibly competitive competition down there. But no, we've got a really young and hungry list, and everyone's really motivated. Training really strongly and looking really fit. So we're certainly not putting a ceiling on what we can achieve. But it's going to be really interesting because I think other clubs have recruited really well. So as I said, it's going to be very competitive. But hopefully we can bring some success to Kyby because no doubt the club is well overdue.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there's a massive amount of excitement around the club and around the whole league as well. It's a league absolutely stacked with talent, so it's certainly not an easy gig walking in and bringing a team from the bottom to winning a premiership. But nevertheless, how's the training and everything going for yourself? Obviously coming out of summer now, but have you been going hard at it, looking to get straight in and make an immediate impact?
Definitely. No, I'm feeling pretty fit. I think since finishing up in the amateurs end of last year, we were lucky enough to win the flag at the PAC Old Scholars, and I've just tried to keep that fitness all the way through. And as I said, the boys, Jack Kelly's the coach out there, and he's had the boys training, since November. And what I've been really surprised and really excited about is the fact that all the boys are really buying into it and posting their runs on our WhatsApp group and holding each other accountable, which has been great. Andrew Bradley, who's one of my great childhood mates, who's also coming back to Kyby this year. We went down pre-Christmas to have a run around with them. It was a great buzz around the place, and I think everyone's in good shape. But I think anyone you talk to will say that they're fit and healthy at this stage and everything's going well because everyone's equal top of the ladder at this stage, so it's easy to be going well. But no, the training will really ramp up from here, and we've got a few practice games in line before the season kicks off. But it is scary as to how quickly that season or round one is coming. So it's an exciting time.
That's right. The season will be here before we all know it. And you mentioned Andrew Bradley there. That sort of leads me nicely into my next question. Are there many players that you played with in your junior years still there playing seniors that you've got the chance to sort of reconnect with now?
It's a great question. I'm 32 now, so it would be players that I came through in the junior colts with, and there are a few that are still hanging around. But one obviously great part of this whole story is the fact that Brad's is coming back as well. So we grew up as best mates, as well as Jack Kelly, the coach. Had a lot of success in the junior colts back in the day, and obviously went our separate ways, and now we've had the chance to come back and play together again, which, as I said from the outset, I didn't think I'd ever get that opportunity. I didn't think it would be possible. So to do that again is what has me so excited. And then even, this will sound crazy, but a lot of the young guys that were too young to be playing footy back in the day when I was playing junior colts, they're all playing A grade now, and to see them playing senior footy and going really well is also great to see. So hopefully both Brads and I can impart a bit of our knowledge from playing some senior footy at a higher level to those young guys, and hopefully it can sort of, as I said, bring us some success this year.
Being a very experienced player, spending many, many years in the AFL system and playing 89 games over those years, I would assume you're bringing a sense of leadership to the team as well.
I guess so, yeah. I think I said from the outset, it's a really young and hungry group, so they probably are requiring some older heads that have been around the bush for a while, and that's what hopefully Brads and I can bring along to the table. And I'll certainly be doing everything I can to make sure I'm helping each individual and help them become better players, because they are all striving to be bigger and better than what they have been in the past. And there's some good senior players around that have led the club really well over the last couple of years, but hopefully Brads and I can add to that this year, and that's what I'm really excited about. I think one thing, it's all about giving back, and the Kybybolite Footy Club were fantastic to me growing up and imparted a lot of knowledge to me and made me the player I was. So now it's my opportunity to give back to those younger players and hopefully, help them achieve their goals, whatever they may be. So I'm really excited about that side of the opportunity as well.
Absolutely. There's a lot to be excited about, both for yourself and for the Kybybolite Football Club. And as you now return to your hometown and have a chance to play for your junior club, does it give you a chance to sort of look back on what was quite a long AFL career and all the other, you mentioned the amateur footy, you played for PAC as well. Does it give you a good chance to look back through your career and now that you're back where it all started, sort of, just a good time to reflect on all that?
Definitely. It's amazing how in this situation it's come full circle. I still remember the first time I put the Kybe Guernsey on back when I was 10 years old and playing junior colts and thinking, it's a crazy experience playing against all these older and bigger guys who were the age of 14, and then to have progressed through to the SANFL ranks and get the opportunity to play at the highest level for a period of time and then come back. It does a bit of a reality check that tells you that you're getting old, but it's a nice time to sit back and reflect about where you've gone and what you've achieved in the past, and hopefully now it's as I said before, a good chance for me to give back to a club that were fantastic to not only me but plenty of other great juniors around the place that have gone on to achieve bigger and better things. So it's a humbling experience to go back and see the old faces again, and hopefully to get the chance to pull the Kybe Guernsey back on is something that I'm absolutely pumped for.
Very good stuff. And Jack, I spoke to Paul Roos late last year on the show and had the opportunity to speak to him about the importance of culture in sport and in sporting clubs. And you played for Paul Roos, is that right, in Melbourne?
Did, yeah.
Yeah. What was your take on the culture in Melbourne at that time? Obviously, it's a much talked about era at any football club where the club was under Mark Neild and then Paul Roos taking over and to where they are now. What were your thoughts on the culture at the Demons and now seeing the success under the sort of Max Gawn and Simon Goodwin era?
Yeah, I mean, it's been the biggest turnaround, I'm not going to say in football history, but from where we were as a club. We obviously went through a pretty tumultuous time with coaches being sacked and, the playing list being pretty much turned on its head and start again a couple of times within that. I think for my first 4 years, I had 4 or 5 different senior coaches, which, to try to get any form of consistency in your game and the process, it's really difficult. So, when Roosie came and jumped on board, it was a really exciting time. He came in with a huge reputation, but lived up to every bit of it. And I've got, the utmost admiration for Roosie. He came in and just really confident in what he was talking about and what he was trying to teach us as young players, and then putting the structure around, other coaches and other senior players to make sure that we were setting ourselves up for success. And no doubt the first couple of years under him were still challenging, but you could really see that roadmap that he laid out for us, and there was finally light at the end of the tunnel. And he brought Goody on board and trained him up to be the coach that he is today. So, the turnaround is incredible, and Big Gorney's still today one of my best mates, and even to see him evolve from what he was when we got drafted together to the player and leader that he is today is really incredible. So I sit back quite proudly to see what's transpired, and then to see them go and get the ultimate success a couple of years ago was fantastic as well. So it's a great story, but at the same time, they've still got a great list and more to achieve. So hopefully they can continue down that path in 2024.
Yeah, it has been a great story, and I'm really eager to see what they can do on the field this year. And Jack, I want to take a look back through time because I believe it's 20 years this year since you won a junior Colts premiership with Kyby, and I'd love to know, what do you remember 20 years on? It's obviously been a long time and you've played a lot of footy for a few different clubs since then. But yeah, what are your memories of that 2004 premiership? And I think you won 3 or 4 in a row around that time. So yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts on that era.
Yeah, I hadn't really appreciated that that amount of time had transpired. But yeah, obviously being 32 now, it all makes sense. But no, they were some incredible years of my footy career, so to speak. To get the opportunity to start playing junior Colts footy when I was 10 years old, and then to get the success that we did early on in my career, as you said, I think going back, we won my first 4 years of footy were 4 premierships. So I thought it was a piece of cake winning flags, to be honest, and only later realised that they're actually hard to achieve. And yeah, I guess the years that I remember from back then, I was coached by a few different coaches in that period of time. Phil Bradley was my first coach, and I distinctly remember a lot of the key learnings that he taught me, and then also Brian Edwards and Jamie Kelly. And I just remember having the time of my life, playing with all my best mates that I went to school with, and going out and playing footy for fun, but also getting some success in it as well was fantastic. And then, to see some of the players that were in our team at the time, Andrew Bradley, who we've mentioned, he went on to become a superstar at Glenelg, win premierships and best and fairest and captain the club. And then, Lachie Neale speaks for himself to go on and win a couple of Brownlows and have the career that he has had. Alex Forster, another one who got drafted to Freo and won premierships at Nord. There's a lot of, quite successful footballers from that time at Kyby, and Kyby has traditionally been really successful in the juniors, but then transferring it to senior footy has been the really difficult part. So that's the plan this year, is to transfer some of that junior success into senior success for what's been a long time between drinks.
Certainly a very stacked junior team with yourself, Lachie Neale and Alex Forster. There's a lot of footy experience there, and now 20 years into the future, you must just look back and go, geez, no wonder we won 4 in a row. And I've got to say, you sound like my dad saying he thought you'd just win premierships every year, because he grew up a St. George Dragons fan in the NRL, and they won many in a row, and he thought, this is great, your team just wins every year. But obviously back then, you probably didn't know Lachie Neale was going to be a 2-time Brownlow medalist, and I don't think anyone knew that when he got drafted either. But could you see the signs for guys like Lachie Neale and Alex Forster and yourself as well, and others who went on to have bright footy careers? Could you see the signs early on playing junior Colts?
It's a really hard one. I mean, you certainly, you notice talent even back then, and even at a junior footy club like Kyby, which, is a very tiny town and a tiny community and tiny footy competition in the whole scheme of Australia, right? But so it's incredible for a few of us juniors to go through and progress the way that we did. But I still remember to this day, on Lachie and I would be out there when the A graders were training, snapping goals from the pocket on a Thursday night, and literally kicking until we were kicked off every Thursday night for years there. And I never thought at that point in time that we'd ever get anywhere close to playing AFL footy. Our goal at that time was to play A-grade footy for Kyby, and that was going to be the pinnacle. So then to have gone on to have both played A-grade, AFL, Alex Forster as well, for him to have had the career that he's had. It's, as I said, it's a humbling point in time to sort of reflect back and see that and what we've been able to achieve. But a lot of that credit has to go to what was, and still is a great community, and that is the Kybybolite Football Club. And, they just give every individual as much opportunity as they possibly can give, and it shows that anything is achievable if you really want to put your mind to it and give your best.
And being 20 years this year since that 2004 premiership, I don't know if they really do this in the junior grades. I'm sure they would in the A grade, but have you got any premiership reunions planned or anything like that? And obviously now that you and a couple of others are back at the footy club?
I think there'll definitely have to be one this year, given where a few of us are back there. I actually gave Lockie a call and said, do you want to take an early retirement and come back and play A grade with us? And he wasn't all that keen, but might have to give him a few years yet. But no, I'm sure, as I said before, there's a few guys that are still floating around and playing that were playing back then. So I'm sure we'll put something together to celebrate the 20 years, but hopefully we're celebrating a bigger milestone at the end of the year.
I'm sure the people of Kybybolite are very happy to hear that you've got your recruiting hat on for not just a former junior player, but one of the, if not the best player in the country at the moment. I'm sure they're thrilled to hear about that, and I'm sure there'll be pressure on to continue trying to recruit him as his AFL career eventually does come to a close. Just looking back again on the 04 premiership, obviously you won 4 in a row. 20 years on, can you remember much from that specific game? Can you remember who you played? Or I'm obviously putting you on the spot a little bit here, but yeah, do you still hold those memories close even after so much senior footy?
Oh, definitely. I think, over those couple of years, I think we did actually play Lucindale in that grand final at Bordertown. And we were the underdogs going into it and actually won, which was even better at that point in time. But there's little flashes that come back and remember some of the players and your teammates that you played with, and even the opposition players. I mean, my coach and one of my best mates at PAC Old Scholars was Craig Pitt, and we were playing against him that day, so I certainly remind him of it pretty regularly about that victory. But yeah, it's funny how the memories do come flashing back, and just to think about the excitement it brought for, not only us, but the whole Kybybolite Football Club. And, I joke about it saying that premierships were easy to win, but I honestly thought that back then. And then to go through a period of time in my career where I hadn't had any form of success for such a long period up until the last couple of years, it makes you appreciate it even more. And I still remember my dad saying, enjoy it, because he never won a grand final in his footy days. So, it's just a great time of your life. And it's great to see still the junior footy club going really well at Kyby. But as I kept saying here, it's, while it's great, we really are keen and excited about bringing that success to the senior part of the footy club as well.
Well, premierships probably are pretty easy to come by when you've got the likes of yourself, Lockie Neal and Alex Forster on the team. And do you remember, obviously, that Lucindale team you played against? Did they have any future talent of their own? Is there anyone you remember from that team that was running around against you?
There are a lot of guys that ended up in the SANFL ranks. None at the AFL level, I don't think. But, still a lot of names down that way that are pretty well known. I already mentioned the Pitts, but the McCarthy name, the Gills, a lot of big names and families down that way at that point in time. And as I said, I think they beat us a couple of times throughout the year. So to have beaten them in the big day was even better. But that's country footy, right? There's a lot of families that pass through and very well known in their direct areas, and I'm sure there's still a lot of Pitts and McCarthys and whatnot running around at Lucindale, as there are a lot of Clarks and Shinkles and whatnot at Kyby. So it's good to see, and that's what I love about country footy.
No shortage of talent out in the country, that's for sure, especially in the southeast of SA. There is so much talent passing through, and Jack, you'll be one of the very talented players making his way back to Kybybolite this year. Mate, thank you very much for your time today. Been great chatting with you, and I'll certainly be wishing you all the best going into this new season with Kybybolite. I'm not gonna say I'm on the Kyby bandwagon because I've got to stay impartial, but we'll certainly be wishing you all the best as you get into this new year.
Beautiful. Thanks so much for that, Dan. Appreciate it.